Tonight on Nova Legends podcast, I have AU wing player Greg Jones, Hayfield grad, was off to a great start this year. AU's 10-9 overall and 4-2 in the conference. Greg's averaging 10 points a game, 4 rebounds, a steal, shooting 36% from three-point land, which is second on the team. Uh, Greg, great to see you again. Thanks for doing this.
Good to see you again too. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, oh, of course, man. I was thinking that you may have been on more than any other athlete. I've had coaches on many times, but I don't think anyone's been on 4 times like you have now. So I think
Four
you,
times. I was gonna say I didn't know if it was three or four. It's four.
yeah, because you guys won it twice, and I had the whole team on both times you
Hmm.
won. Then I had you on individually. So,
Yep.
yeah, I think you're ahead now. There's a couple soccer players that are close, but uh, just to remind folks, Greg went to Hayfield. He's 2002 graduate, right, Greg, or 2023.
2023. Yeah.
He's a graduate. There, he was first team All Met, first team All State, won back-to-back championships for Carlos Poindexter. Had a great career. Um, Greg, I got all that right, didn't I?
Yes. Yep.
So first of all, I wanted to start. You kind of had a breakout game this weekend that you hit 4 3-pointers. Um, in high school, you get 3-pointers all the time. It was
Mhm.
very normal. When you go to college and the 3-pointer is out one more foot, is it a different shot for folks? Is that foot, is it meaningful, or is it just a matter of being comfortable?
It's definitely a different shot, especially coming from, senior year of high school to freshman year in college. It's really just about getting used to it. Like I definitely saw how much different it was last year, but now I feel like, since I have a year under my belt, I've gotten a lot more used to it, more comfortable shooting it. And they're hard to come by, open shots in college. Like you don't get too many open shots. So when you get those 3-point shots, then when you're open, you got to shoot them. So
Yeah. Well, does it also matter if, when you're running around the court, you have to get used to what a 3-pointer is, and since it's a little bit further out,
yeah,
as you get more experience, you get more comfortable where exactly it is.
yeah, there were times, last year where my foot would be on the line, like I would run out of bounds. And the court is a lot bigger too. So there's just a lot of things that I had to get used to. Just the people may not, realize it's that big of a difference, but when you're out there, when you're fatigued, when you're tired, like that 1 foot back, that, the larger scale of the court, it makes a lot of difference and you can really feel it. So I would definitely say it's a huge difference, and I definitely, saw that right when I got into college.
Yeah. Well, and because of the analytics nowadays, do teams really make a point to take the 3-pointer away from you? And do you guys, when you guys talk about 3-pointers, do you want to shoot a certain amount? Is that part of the strategy on both teams now in college basketball?
I know for us, like defensively, we wanted to give up less 3-pointers. Like that was one of the main, emphasis this year because we gave up a lot of 3-pointers last year, and a very high percentage of them went in. So, like defensively, we've made a step on guarding the 3-point line, making sure that like people have to earn their buckets, that wide open threes aren't just like something you are going to get a lot on us. So, I would definitely say that, you know. The 3-pointer is very important in college basketball. A lot of dudes want to shoot them. A lot of dudes can shoot them, and I do see a lot of teams like trying to limit the amount of threes that they let up. So I think it is important that a lot of teams stop teams from shooting 3-point shots, and I've definitely seen that it's a big point of emphasis that we try to emphasize. Our coaches try to emphasize every day.
Oh, sorry about that. Is the boxing out complicated because people are shooting far away and you got to find people? And I know that part of the benefit of shooting 3-pointers is that the rebounds are longer. So
Mhm.
you can get 25-30% of them or whatever. So
Yeah.
is it really difficult to find your box out assignments on lots of occasions?
Sometimes it is like sometimes you really never know. Like some dudes could have a high arcing shot where the ball just bounces a certain way off of the rim and it's going to be a long rebound and you're coming from the paint trying to get somebody on the 3-point line to box them out and they can almost just juke you out. So those are really hard. And yeah, just boxing in general, just the physicality, I would say in college, like, there are dudes that are at a certain school just offensive rebound, and you got to go and box those guys out and not let them touch the ball and do what they're good at. So it's definitely a huge point of emphasis for us, especially after like 2 games ago against Bucknell, we were struggling a little in that with rebounding. So some games it can be really hard. Other games we can really lock down on it and do our assignments, do our duties. So it really depends on the game, the way the ball's bouncing, if teams are making shots, the type of, long rebounds, how the ball is coming off the rim. So there's a lot that goes into it. Every game can be different.
Yeah. Well, it's taken you a little bit of time to adjust offensively, but it seemed like defensively you were ready right away. And what I was surprised about last year is that you guarded a lot of big players. You seemed like you were playing the four a lot on defense last year, and maybe it's just my impression, but it seems like you had less than an adjustment period on defense. Did I read that right?
No, yeah, you're 100% right. I still play the four now, the 4-3 around that. But last year was mainly the four. But sometimes I would guard like, the other team's ball handler just because I know that's how I could get on the court is to play defense and to just lock in and, stop the ball. I know that's how I was going to produce my minutes. And obviously, the offense wasn't there, so that's not why I was going to get on the floor. And you know. It was just, I think, how we played in high school with Carlos, and he was such a defensive-minded coach, and we would get out and press and, get out and run after we press, after we steal the ball. Like, I feel like I carried that mindset over a little bit, especially last year to, get on the court and find some playing time. And then obviously this year I've still carried that over.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if easy is the right word, but do you find it easier to guard inside the post, bigger players, or quicker guards? Which one is more comfortable for you on defense?
I would prefer guarding on the perimeter. Um, I think that's where I excel, but I feel like I can do both, and that's what the coaches do like about me is that I can guard some post players and then guard outside too. So I try to be able to do both, but I prefer to guard on the perimeter and just lock down on maybe the team's best player.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Coach Carlos earlier today. How would you compare um, Coach Simpkins to Coach Carlos's style? They both seem like players, coaches. They both seem like they get along good with the guys. They both were very good ball players themselves, which is normal now. Coach
Mhm.
Simpkins was a 20-point scorer, I believe, in Maryland. Uh, but Coach Carlos was a very good player as well. But how would you compare the coaching styles? Are they similar?
They are very similar. And obviously the levels are different, so they kind of got to coach me in two different ways. I feel like Carlos was more just like you know, telling me what to do and what he expects, and then I would just go out there and do it just because, it was high school and the competition was a little easier. And just making sure that I was always on the same page as him. Especially since me being a leader on the team, like I had to be on the same page as him. I had to, bring out certain guys, and yeah, stuff like that. And then for Coach Simpkins, it's more like having me settle down and really understand what I'm doing because I can't get away with a lot of the same stuff I did in high school. Coach Simpkins emphasizes playing off of 2 feet for me, especially because I'm a 1 foot player. I try to go off of one a lot, and I think
Mm.
I've gotten a lot better at that. And that's thanks to him. He's been really on me about that. And then I would say he uh he tries to he tries to get the best out of us at all times. Like sometimes he may need to yell at me to get me going. He may need to I don't know, just anything just to get his best just to get the best out of his players. And it's harder sometimes in college to get the best out of your players just because it's a lot more. And I don't think, Carlos ever had to do that with me in high school. But they're very alike. They're both awesome coaches. They're, like you said, they're very player friendly. And I'm very happy that I got to be coached by both of them so far in my career.
Yeah, great coaches. So, Coach Simpkins, you got him his first year as a head coach, and he'd been an assistant coach for a long time. It was his time to get a head job. So I don't think anyone was surprised when he finally got one. I think it was whether it was going to be George Mason or American was probably up for debate, but it was time for him to get a job. Have you seen his growth as a head coach in 2 years? Like, I would think when you're a head coach the first year, you're dealing with different things. When you're an assistant coach, you got more discrete tasks. You might be dealing with a big man. Might be recruiting. You might be doing, certain things. Whereas a head coach, you're kind of building the
Yeah.
staff. You're kind of worried about everyone's development. You're putting a roster together.
Mhm.
Have you seen his development over the last year and a half?
Oh yeah, it's been like from this year to last year, it's been huge. Like, And not even to put anything bad on, last year. It's just, coming in, whole new staff, players that he didn't recruit coming, into college. So there was just a lot of, he didn't really know his players yet. He didn't really know, what type of dudes we were. And, credit to him, last year we actually did this like therapy session with, I don't know if you know who it is, Dr. Joe Carr, I believe is his name. And, and it was just a therapy session just to like get to know dudes, get to know, dudes past, events that have happened in different guys' lives. And we all went around and shared in a circle. And honestly, I thought from there last year after we did that, that we had grown so much as a team. And just from the basketball standpoint, I think it's a lot more organized this year. We really, have a plan and stick to it. And it's very productive at all times. Like everything we do is for a reason. Last year maybe we did some things that maybe we shouldn't have done, maybe we did too much. And, this year, everything is in a system and everything makes sense. And I can, completely back him up on all the things that he does for us. So it's been really cool to see like his growth as a head coach and all of our coaches, like our assistants, Jackie, Nate, like it's really been awesome to see, how they have grown as assistant coaches too and like his supporting staff. So, really shout out to all of them and especially him for really getting this program like to the right speed it needs to be at right now.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that he did that really surprised me in this day and age is it is, when you go to a basketball game, you don't see that many players that were on that team the year before. You may have
Mhm.
one or two players and they're all different. I went to the Mason game the other day and I recognized Billups and maybe someone else, but they're all new players.
Yeah.
They're doing fantastic.
Uh-huh.
You guys kept almost all your key players this year, it was shocking to me. Yourself, Rogers, Mayock, Smalls, Sprouse, Elijah Stevens, all these guys could have gone to numerous dozens of schools, but they all came back. How do you explain that?
I think it's, one, obviously him being such a good coach, being so connected with us. And then I think it's also too like him allowing us to bond with each other. Like, all of us, not with him being around, just bond with each other as teammates. We're so close, our team. And honestly, we wanted to come back, like our fifth year seniors, they wanted to come back and be with us for another year and try to run this thing back and win a Patriot League championship. So I think it's just all the things that we've all done together and built our relationships. And it's really just a collective effort. We have a bunch of really good dudes. We have a lot of talent. We have a lot of dudes that have played with each other for a long time and have been striving for one goal for a long time. And obviously, me, Mayock coming back, that just adds a lot more that we have in our arsenal to really try to win this thing. So I think just everyone wanted like one more go at it, one more time with this group of dudes because this group is really one of a kind. Like we're so close, we're so connected, and that's really thanks to Coach Simpkins too. He's put us in a lot of situations where we've had to bond with each other, and really learn about each other. I talked about the Joe Carr thing that we had. So that was like one of the things, the Italy trip. So I've definitely like been gotten so close with these dudes in such a little time that, I really don't feel like any of these guys have felt like leaving or, going off to play somewhere else just because of how close we've grown.
Yeah, it's the teams. It seems like you guys got a great camaraderie. I noticed you and Lincoln Ball, in particular, seem to be tough. But the games themselves have been interesting this year. I felt like last year, early in the year, it was everything kind of went your way. This
Hmm.
year, I felt like the team is probably stronger than last year in terms of your talent. But it seems like some nights you guys are really on, some nights it's more of a struggle. But in a way, you're in great position. I think you're tied for second or third in the conference. You're in a great position to accomplish all your goals. In a way, is it better that you had a little bit of struggle early this year and maybe it didn't come so easy early?
Yeah, I think getting the GW win, we got maybe a little complacent, maybe felt ourselves a little bit, but I think some of these losses, especially the out of conference losses, really prepared us for the in conference. And obviously we lost to Navy. by a lot to start PL play. So I think the losses really are just good eye openers and are good teaching moments just for down the stretch games and how to approach them. And just to show us that like, we can be beat any night if we don't come out with the right mentality. And so, I think things not going our way is kind of a blessing in disguise a little bit. Obviously, we don't want to lose, but a lot of our losses we've grown a lot from. We've gotten a lot of, teaching points. We've gotten a lot of coaching from them that we've used now down the stretch, and we're on a good 3-game winning streak now. So I think we're really hitting our stride right now, and I don't want to say it's thanks to those losses, but those losses have helped us a lot. So
Yeah. Well, we'll get back to the rest of the season in a minute, but I did want to talk about you. I noticed your junior year in high school, you were completely dominant. And then your senior year, you struggled with, I think your back was hurting you a little bit. And I noticed last year, your first year, you looked at, like a picture of health on the field. Looked like you were in no pain at all. And this year, I feel the same. I understand my boy Bill Booker may have had something to do with that. I went to college with Bill. I think we played JV basketball together at UVA. I
really.
think so. But anyway, talk about your health. I mean, you look like you're feeling great these days.
Yeah, it was really my senior year and freshman year of college that were really the worst years for my back. Like it started, I want to say around senior year fall that I was having some back problems. Didn't think it was too much. Didn't think it was, that crazy. Thought it was just back spasms. Went and played that senior year of high school on it. Um, didn't think it would really go over into college, but obviously it did. So last year, I honestly really shouldn't have played. I was in a lot of pain last year. Maybe if it didn't look like it, I was in a lot of pain last year. Just played through it because I wanted to play. I wasn't trying to sit out my freshman year. And then right after the season, I was like, we got to get this better. Like we gotta get on top of this. And me and my mom, she was awesome with helping me, and Coach Simpkins as well. He was like, if you need to go get some treatment off site or chiropractor, like you do what you need to do. We just want to make sure you're healthy. So got the okay with Coach Simpkins. He was awesome about it. My mom had actually ran into Bill Booker in like I think a supermarket or something. It was around New Year's, I want to say, and was like she was explaining my injury, and Mr. Booker, he was like, I do this thing for all athletes. Like I've heard the exact same thing come from so many different athletes, and I've cured them. And so my mom got his contact information, where his office was, started going to him. I was in his office, I want to say like 3 or 4 times a week for like 6 weeks straight. I had to get on the table like 25 times. So, and I was going in the morning. So I would either Uber or my mom would come pick me up. We would go there, and so I had to stay consistent with it, really to see results. And it got annoying sometimes. I didn't want to go at times, but I saw after I went 15, 16, 17 times, like I was seeing results. I was seeing improvement. I was seeing less and less pain, and ultimately he really did cure me. Like I don't feel as nearly as much pain as I do. Obviously, my injury is something where it's going to stay with me, the rest of my life, but he really cured the pain that was coming from it. And that's really what has caused me, I think, to have such a leap my sophomore year so far. Because it was really bothering me last year, and I don't know if I could have done it again. It was that bad. But I'm really happy I went to Mr. Booker, and he got me right. So now I'm feeling really good. Like you said, these days now I feel healthy. I hope I look healthy. So yeah, that's really where I'm at.
Shout out to Dr. Booker and also to your mom, who's the best basketball mom in the country. She's so kind and cares about other players, and she's just wonderful, a wonderful person to be around.
Yes.
Now, Hayfield, I know you're still probably close to Carlos and probably your teammates because you had such a great run there. When you look back on how well you've done in college, most of the players, a lot of the players who were at public schools and did well, didn't do as well as you've done. And you were able to get meaningful minutes your first year, despite being hurt. And then this year, your sophomore year, starting, I think you're third or fourth in minutes played on the team. Um, do you think you missed out on anything? You didn't reclass. You didn't go. You could have gone to WCAC and you didn't. You stayed and you played at Hayfield. Do you think that you can get the same kind of development at a public school that you can get at some of these big private prestigious programs?
I do, and I think it all starts really in the off season. Like I think, where you play AAU, how you approach your off season is really what, makes or break a player. Like, you're playing games during the season at public school. So, you're kind of going the same thing as a WCAC school, just obviously not the same competition, but in that off season is where you're really trying to get better, where you're really trying to develop as a player, where you're playing AAU with a certain team. And that's really where, you can separate yourself. And, I played public school, but then when it was time for off season, I was in the gym. I was playing for a good fit AAU team where, I know I would play, but I was also playing good competition. So I really don't think, obviously it does have some impact, public school, private school on maybe, the level you go to. But I think it's really how you approach your off season when you're away from, your school basketball. I think that really makes or break, where you end up in college, what type of looks you get, how you develop as a player. So obviously, people have their opinions and say that private school is a lot better than public school. And, if you want to play the top-notch competition, I agree, go play private school. But if you take your off season and you try to, do as much as you can with it and play high competition, there's no wrong with going back to your public school for the school year at
Yeah,
all, in my opinion.
yeah. And also, you can go to private school and end up like Chris Kazemka and not get a
Mm.
lot of playing time at Paul the Six, and end up getting more opportunities and win a state championship like you did um, as well. So it could work out either way. How about when you give advice to people? It's really tough for young players now. I think people assume because there's money being thrown around NIL that it's easy. It's not. There's very few opportunities for young players. Coaches are going for players in the portal with experience that they know can get the grades. What kind of advice would you give to young players who want to make it to the next level where you are?
Um, well, first I would say just kind of know what type of player you are. Don't try to put your thoughts and I don't know how to say this, but try to be realistic with yourself is what I'm trying to say. Like
Yeah.
if you're not, a high major caliber player, don't, expect anything. And I don't know. I think the NIL stuff has gone a little too crazy just with how much it impacts, players' decisions and if they stay at a certain school, if they transfer somewhere else. And I think there need to be some limitations on it, but just my advice for younger players is just work hard, and if you work hard and you do everything you need to do, people will find you, and people will people will recruit you, and just be like a high character type of guy. Like a lot of college coaches, they don't want these, stubborn kids on their team. They're just looking to come in and just score 15, 16 points and then transfer and go to a different school and make a bunch of money. College coaches want guys that they can depend on, guys that are leaders, guys with a strong work ethic. And honestly, like all that stuff is hard to do. But at the end of the day, like if you do all that stuff, you will be rewarded, and it feels so good after everything is done and you win championships. So that's kind of
Yeah.
what I would say. And college coaches, they want to recruit winners, and if you're winning, that's really all they care about. So.
Well, that's great advice. So Greg, when you look around and look at the players you grew up with, playing with and against, do the players that are doing well, does it make sense? Are there a lot of surprises, or are there folks that you thought would do incredibly well in college, struggling to get that chance? Are the folks that you didn't think were going to be so tough at the next level doing well? Or does the system seem to make sense to you, or have there been a lot of surprises to you?
I mean, for the most part, it does. Obviously, there are a few guys here and there that I'm like, oh man, they really deserve a shot. They need a chance. Just one player that comes to mind is John Awoke, that played on my team at
Of
Hayfield
course.
for senior year. Um, I think his situation was a little messed up, just with like his school, and just college coaches getting out to see him. I feel like he didn't get enough exposure as he really deserved. Um, and he's doing really well right now. He's at South Plains, JUCO in Texas. He's doing really well. I know he's got a lot of looks right now, so I think everything's gonna work out for him. But yeah, I do kind of see it makes sense now how, a lot of guys ended up at certain places. How the system works. I guess I didn't really realize when I was in high school what really happened after and how things really like panned out, but it makes sense now. Another guy I can think of is Jamie Kaiser. I think he's
Yeah.
hurt now. He's a butler. He's hurt right now. I was really looking forward to see what he was going to do this year. Um, but he got hurt and I think he needed surgery or something. So, shout out to him. And then my guy Braylon Wheeler,
Yeah.
I think he's been kind of looked down upon just because of his size. And in high school at Hayfield, he was hooping. Like he was a guy that before I was really doing anything, he was the guy that every team needed to stop. And you know he every night, I remember my sophomore year, every night he was scoring 20, 25 points a game. And he's a guy that I think can really come into a program and be a lead guard and I don't know win a championship for a high caliber college. But I think he's been looked down upon. But he's at Ottawa. I think it's an NAIA in
Mhm.
Kansas right now. So I hope everything pans out for him. And he's just another guy where I feel like a lot of coaches, pass up on him and still maybe are, but they really should have him on his radar. But for the most part, I think everything kind of panned out the way that I envisioned it.
Yeah, when you think about Braylon Wheeler, so I've been following high school basketball in Virginia for 45 years.
Mhm.
He's one of the most underrated players I've ever seen. I think he's one of the best point guards that I've seen. He doesn't necessarily look like it, but
Mhm.
his vision, the way he dominates the game defensively, his clutch shooting, his ability to, he's won so many games as part of a team. Braylon is a very good player, and I don't think he's really appreciated for how good he is. He to me is an historic player in Northern Virginia,
I
but
agree.
I don't think a lot of people realize. I'm sure you do, and Carlos do, and his teammates, and people who had to play against him and took all those L's did
Yes.
too. But let's get back to you in American, and let's wrap up with the rest of the season. Now you guys are 4-2. You got some tough games coming up. I think you're almost through the first round of games, of district game, conference games, and you're in a decent position, and it's all to play for. What do you think of some of the keys to the rest of the year? Obviously, the work ethic and play as a team is there, but technically and strategically, what are some of the things that America needs to do to be successful the rest of the season? You think?
I think the main thing for us is just a mindset thing and not looking at people's records and going into a game and saying, "Oh, these guys are 5-7 in conference. Like they're not that good. We should beat them because we're what, 8-2 or something." Just like looking down the line, just making up an example. But I think our mindset has a very impactful way on how we come out to start a game, how, really just the overall game. Just going in thinking a team is not that good or they're inferior to us is very important. And we've lost some games because of that earlier in the year. And so that's why I said earlier, like those losses have very well prepared us for these games in conference. And then I think just making sure we lock in on who we're playing, what their scheme is, what they're trying to do, because all these teams in the Patriot League are different. They all do different things. They all have different type of players, different type of game plans. The coaches are very different, their schemes. So just understanding who we're playing at all times, understanding what type of game it's going to be, and then just sticking to what we do, sticking to our principles like our coaches say, like our coaches do every day, like they preach us every day. And yeah, those are the main two things I would say.
Greg, do you still get excited to go to the gym every day? Do you still love it?
Yeah, of course. There's
Yeah.
obviously some days where you're not feeling it, but it's so much fun. It's so much fun. I wouldn't rather do anything else. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, as a player who loves basketball, there's nothing. There are a few things in life better than representing your school, whether it's high school or college, and playing basketball. And the longer you can play, the better. Now, Greg, last question, and I don't want you to look too far ahead. Do you ever think about playing at the next level, whether it's here or abroad, and trying to chase the game for a few years past college?
I do. I do think about playing, maybe some pro ball overseas if I keep, gradually getting better, if I stay on this path that I'm on. And obviously it takes a lot of hard work, but I would definitely would be open to it, going to a different country, playing basketball professionally, making some good money. And I don't know, maybe college coaching after that back here,
Oh, cool.
some sort of coach. I don't know, but it's just a thought. And who knows what I'll be thinking in 2 years when it's time to graduate, but I definitely would be open to it and it would be very cool.
If you had one part aspect of your game that you think you need to improve to get to that level, what part of the game of your game would that be?
I think if I take my ball handling to a next level, I can be really good. I think, I've taken a big step, especially this year, but if I take it to a next level, I really think I can be a next level type of player.
That was one of the things about your high school. Braylon always had the ball because he's so great with it. So
Yeah,
all you have to do was spot up, knock down the three,
exactly.
and the game was over. So anyway, Greg, look, I appreciate your time. I know this is a busy time for you. I think you got two more games this week, so
Hmm.
definitely. I haven't gotten out to see you.
Big one on Saturday if you want to come.
Yeah, yeah. I'll come on Saturday. I haven't, Gibraltar's been hurt too, so I haven't got a chance to see him either.
Mhm.
But I definitely got to come check you guys out. I promise you I will this year, but maybe on Saturday I'll come check you guys out.
Yeah, we play Colgate, so it's going to be a good game. Alumni Day, I think we're going to be wearing our black uniforms, so that should be a good one. You should try to come out. I get you a ticket.
Oh, okay, that sounds great. Well, as you said before, every game in the Patriots tough. You can't take. Sometimes the teams that you should beat, like I'm sure you probably didn't think Navy was going to be that great, and
Mhm.
then the teams that you figure are going to be really tough, you end up beating them. It's just like in Patriot, you never know what's going to happen in the Patriot.
You never know, and that's the fun part about this league. Like you really never know. Obviously, it's been Colgate to win it the last 4 years, but some games have been crazy. Colgate's lost a couple games here and there against teams that they really shouldn't have lost to. So you really got to come out every single night with the right mentality.
Is that big left-hand kid still there at Colgate? Didn't they have a left-hand kid post play?
I don't think he was left-handed. Are you thinking of Records, Keegan Records?
Yeah,
He's not
yeah.
there anymore, but they still got big Jeff Woodward there. So
Okay.
they're still really good. So
Right. Yeah. I think they're one of the perennial powers of the conference. So anyway, Greg, look, thanks again for doing this. Hopefully I'll see you Saturday and let's keep in touch and do this again sometime soon.
sounds good. Appreciate you having me.
All right, Greg, anytime, man. Take care, buddy.